I'm so glad to see you.
I'm happy to be here.
We had, the resort. Which kind of foundry was it? I'm not that it matters, I'm just curious.
If I could have everyone's attention, I think we're about ready to begin. Welcome everyone to this workshop on social cause marketing that I am very excited about. I have a couple of announcements and an introduction to our workshop presenter today. I am Craig Gaspard, Staff Director for the Bowl Coalition here at Star in Fall River. And my staff here at the Coalition worked very hard to organize this workshop today, and I just want to thank them for their assistance. Please raise your hand. If you're at Star, raise your hand, please, so we know who you are. I cannot emphasize the fact that we're very lucky to have Stephen A. Wright to lead us through this workshop. He is the Director of Public Affairs at R&R Partners, a strategic planning and communications firm located in Salt Lake City, Utah. Steve serves as R&R Partners' social cause marketing expert with extensive experience in strategic communications, media relations, and event planning. And his focus and his interest, as I was talking with him before, is really on advocacy and social cause initiatives aimed at changing public perceptions. This is kind of really up our alley, and this is, for anyone who's involved in our initiative, this is part of our strategic plan. It's part of two of our strategies. So among his work are several public health initiatives he currently is involved with, including drinking prevention campaign called ParentsEmpowered.org. He is also involved with MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, National Teen Alcohol Prevention Effort, and Utah has a tobacco cessation initiative called Truth. So as you can see, he's very involved with social cause, public health kinds of initiatives. And lastly, there's a statewide prescription drug abuse awareness campaign called Use Only as Directed. So that sounds like very relevant to us. Over 10 years in advertising, Steve's successful social cause work has garnered national recognition from MAD for Best Public Service Campaign, National State Alcohol Drug Abuse Directors for Innovation and Prevention, dozens of state and national advertising awards, and he's worked very closely even with the Utah Governor's Office on several initiatives. Steve's extensive experience in social marketing have made him a leader in efforts against negative social issues, but also a consultant for improving and altering negative social norms through the use of mass media efforts. So without any further ado, I'd turn this over to Stephen Wright. Thank you.
I have to tell you though, how does a young ad kid who lives in Salt Lake City, Utah end up in Rhode Island? I'm sure there are plenty of ad guys who have experience doing what I do right here in your backyard. I was presenting at the National Prescription Drug Conference in Florida. How long was that? 2 months ago? 2 months ago? And really, I only took the assignment to go out there because I hadn't ever been to Disney World. So I was like, shoot, conference in Orlando, I'm going. So we were out in Orlando, and I actually wasn't even on the speaking docket for that conference. I just kind of showed up by invitation from one of my counterparts, and a few individuals who recognized me there said, "What are you doing here?" So Disney World's here, that's why I'm here. They said, "Well, we want you to come up and speak." And so the day before, they asked me to come up and speak at one of the breakout sessions, and Laura happened to be in that session. And, she said she was entertained, but she wasn't educated. So I will be entertaining today, but I might not be educational. I have been working in advertising for almost 12 years. I started at a big agency in Manhattan, where I worked on Verizon. You know the guy who says, "Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?" That we no longer see because I got so tired of hearing that. I started working there, and I got recruited by an agency who was actually based out of Las Vegas. The group I work for right now is called R&R Partners. And these are the guys who are renowned for what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So if you ever wonder who came up with that slogan, it's these guys. And they hired me specifically to head up a department focused on social costs. And it has been the greatest career decision I've ever made. I don't have to sell retail anymore. That is a glorious day. But I now use all the same principles to raise awareness and change behaviors with negative social norms, which is very cool. I want to have an interactive discussion with you guys about what the issues are that you're facing and how we can go about solving those issues. Okay? I'm a huge believer that advertising is, I would argue with anybody, it's the number one way to raise awareness to an antisocial behavior. Hands down. There's a reason that our Coke and our Pepsi and our Apple and all these major retailers dump billions of dollars in advertising. Because it persuades people to do things. So why are we not using them to change social norms? Okay? We're going to play a little game here too. This is my brain. I am not going to do this is my brain. This is my brain on drugs. We'll do that later. This is going to go around the room. Okay? And whoever has this brain, we're going to consider the smartest person in the room. Because you have two brains. You really can't compete with that. And whoever has the brain, when one of my slides comes up that I need somebody to read, I hope everybody can read across the room. They're responsible for reading the slide. Deal?
All right.
Deal? Okay, we're going to start with Jade. Jade, you get to read our first slide for us, okay?
My role as an advertiser is to solve problems and respond to emergencies. Nobody ever calls me when the skies are blue and the flowers bright. Generally, my ads are meant to create change and sustain a positive behavior.
I wouldn't be here if you didn't have a problem. True?
True.
I don't ever get called to go anywhere or start any campaign unless there's something we got to fix. And so we know we're coming in with a problem that we need a solution. And I'm hoping, Jade, that this presentation provides a little bit of that solution, okay?
We're not focusing on them, particularly young Hispanic people who are affected by the services we provide, need the services we provide, yet we don't really have a direct connection with that group.
Okay. The niche group, you nailed something there, It's very, very, very hard. It's almost impossible to talk to everybody, but there's little groups that need our help. And we have tactics that we can single them out and help prepare them to make a change. That's what we want to talk to. Okay, who else? I'm going to pick on this back table.
For myself, I work for DCF, and we do recruitment, and we need a new way to reach out to potential foster parents or existing ones. So I'm here really responding to what they're bringing back to us, that our way of communication and getting messages to them is pretty much obsolete at this point with their needs, and we need a new way and new strategies to communicate and get our message across to them.
A lot of the training I'm going to give crosses antisocial behaviors. Okay? We're going to talk a little bit about underage drinking. We're going to talk a little bit about abuse, bullying, everything else, because the practices cross the gamut. Okay? One practice does fit all if it's customized a little bit. Okay? So we're going to go through this. We're going to learn how to best use mass media to generate awareness for a social issue, how to incite a sustainable change in behavior based on increased awareness, okay? Not just raise awareness, but actually cause change. I've seen too many social media campaigns out there that are fantastic at raising awareness, but then they leave people going, now what? Now what do I do? Now that I know this, I don't know what to do with it, okay? Ultimately, how to mobilize the community to both push for and accept a solution. And that's going to be the bread and butter. That's going to be the big piece to this, okay? I don't care if Brain on Drugs becomes my ad and everybody knows it in 60 years from now. But what I do care is that it actually works, that it actually changes people's norms. So here's our pyramid, our model for social marketing. We understand the importance of research, okay? Number one, we have to have everything research-based. We're going to build on that. We implement our campaign, okay? We're going to go through all the steps on that. It begins to raise awareness, okay? People start to recognize what we're talking about, and we hope that ends up changing attitudes through introducing proper prevention skills, tactics, everything else, and in the end, we hope to adjust people's behaviors for long term, not just overnight, but for something that's going to sustain and make our communities better. Now, this presentation, we're going to go through 10 sections, Okay, and we're going to jump around. My 10-section presentation is usually a 2-day thing, but what we're going to do is we're going to do this and finish before 3 o'clock, at 3 o'clock. So we're going to cruise, okay? We're going to jump around, and if there's a topic, you can raise your hand and say, let's go on, let's go to something else. We can jump and move to something else. We're going to hit on topics that we're more concerned about. We're going to go through, we're going to talk about media planning, message development, target audiences, work groups and committees, goals and objectives, money, research strategies, and creative development. Creative development is one of my favorites because we get to watch a lot of entertaining, interesting PSAs. But this first one is the work group and the committee, okay? And you're going to assign, your table is your committee for the rest of this training session, okay? The only one you have to assign is the top one, committee chair. The rest of them, pick and choose, okay? But be careful which one you choose, because once you choose it, you have to jot down 2 sentences that describes the duties and responsibilities of that position, okay? Okay, go for it.
No. Which one we want to be? For which role?
The chair is one you can have.
What kind of people? White
Law enforcement contacts, this advisor.
What would you like to be?
I'd like to be the chair.
Your table. You got some colorful markers. Okay. Take a few sheets of that paper. Take one of the colorful markers, and I'm going to put a picture of a car up on the screen. And when I put the picture of the car up on the screen, you're going to write down one word that defines what that car or that brand of that car is. Okay? You get it? You good with that? Okay. Sleek, orange, safety, orange safety, safe, sporty, middle class, mom. My mom actually has that. We got Dave around the line. Energy, reliable, small, safety.
Flashy.
What is that one?
Flashy.
Flashy. I don't know if Global's ever been called flashy. Maybe very, very good.
That's just flashy.
Okay. Now I want only those who wrote safety to keep theirs up. Because that was kind of our general majority. Safety. Okay? Why? Why safety?
Because the commercials tell me that they have the best safety rating of any cars that you can put your kids in
Volvo has been pushing that brand
forever.
for decades.
It's
Safest car on the road, 90% of people vote Volvo. That's crazy. They put a lot of money. Is it that much safer than other cars? Probably not.
They told you that.
But they told you that, and they continue to tell you that, and they pound that one home. Who wrote sporty? Okay, I'm actually really glad you wrote that. We have 2 of those. Because that's their new brand. They know they've got the safety message, and they're never ever going to lose it. But now they're pushing sporty, because research came back and told Volvo, you're a box. You're a box, you're a safe box, and your mom drives it. And so they want to get that younger group coming up and stop driving the Volvo wagon with wood paneling. And so they're pushing it as sporty. Okay? That's right. That's right. Yeah. What's it?
That's why I put it old.
That's right. You actually see more young movies now because of that. Okay, these are brands. Okay? They're paying a lot of money to make you think this way. They would be very proud of the responses you guys gave because it's what they're looking for. And millions and millions and billions of dollars go towards that brand. Okay? How about this one? That is a van, by the way. It is a minivan. Okay, once you get it, hold it up in the air. Family, yuck. I am so glad that I now work for Volkswagen. Bug? Yes, yes. Family, family, family. Boring hippies. I love it. Box, soccer mom, old, mommy family, small. I got one of these over here. G. German, okay, friendly, family, soccer mom, hippie, ugly family, economic. Okay, family, raised good family. That was general majority. Okay, why? I'm going to pick up this table because it was unanimous, wasn't it?
It was unanimous.
Why family?
The box for lots of people. Safe, carries a lot of stuff, it's utilitarian, it's great.
The one of the most famous Volkswagen commercials in recent times features a little kid playing Darth Vader. Have they seen this ad? It's fantastic. It won more awards than any ad that year. Winner in Super Bowl. Who's seen that spot? Okay, give us a quick summary of what that spot is.
I don't remember all the details for the kids in the back seat and I think.
Yes, here it is. Here's it. Let me help out.
Yeah.
I'm an ad guy. I look at this stuff. I get paid to look at these commercials. Kid walks out. He's dressed in a little Darth Vader uniform. He's done probably 3.5 feet tall. He stands in front of his dad's Volkswagen and he does this. And when he does that, his dad, who's sitting close by inside, I look out the window, pushes the light button or the on button, and it turns on. And the kid's like, whoa. You know? And that's all it is, right? But it's family oriented. It's dad standing there. I think mom's in the kitchen. He looks over and mom kind of gives him a look like, really? You know? The kid's outside. You get this suburban family, and it's their brand. You know? For you to write down family, not just because of the minivan, which was a little deceiving, that's Volkswagen's brand. They want families to buy their cars. You know? The other ones that came up, we had cheap in there somewhere. That's actually part of their brand. They don't use the word cheap for obvious reasons, but they use affordable. It's a family affordable car. So it has a brand, okay? It stands for something, okay? Now we're going to get sexy. What about this? Okay, just coincidentally, all the cars have to be orange. Really cool. No? Okay, good. Okay. Hold them up when you got them. Okay, responsibility, ineffective, mothers, moms, protection, ineffective, driving, Washington, angry. These are good. I work with national men. And I will tell you, I don't think they would be that surprised. They have struggled to maintain a consistent positive brand. I mean, how many of us wrote down something along the lines of angry? Okay, yeah, a lot of us. Okay, we're going to rule out mom because, no offense, you took the easy answer. You should feel bad. Surprisingly, majority of their presidents aren't even moms, which is funny, right? Interesting enough. General membership is, though. Somebody wrote down Washington. Who wrote down Washington? Why?
Because I went with my mom to the one in Washington, D.C.
Their headquarters is there. Okay? There's a reason for that. They have a huge voice, a very angry, loud voice on Capitol Hill. You know? So they have some weight to throw around. And it's become part of their brand. I mean, a lot of us said that they're irresponsible. Who had irresponsible? Or ineffective, sorry, ineffective.
They say research says that they are ineffective, or we're ineffective.
One of the reasons that I started working with them is to help repackage their message. Because their message became so angry. And so we are going to get all drunk drivers, and there will be no more drinking in bars. You know, I mean, there's some that are that. I mean, I'm surprised nobody wrote radical. Because they're a little bit of a radical group.
They were interesting in that.
It's not a chapter anymore?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, but the chapter might not be here. Well, what's interesting with this group is at one time they had a very powerful brand. I mean, they are sitting among some of the top leaders in prevention as far as brand perception and strength. They're wonderful partners. because they carry a really big stick, for angry reasons or whatever it may be. But, as they define their brand, you can see there's a reason that we need to protect it, especially in prevention. When so many of our words and advice are out there, talking about our message, talking about our issue, knocking on doors, we have to know that we're representing a certain voice, a certain personality to what our social cause is all about. And one of the things is we need to stay consistent. Now, the one word I would define these guys as consistency. Drunk driving is it. They hit it, and they hit it hard. There's so many other issues with driving now, texting, seatbelts, prescription drugs, why you drive. People are getting offenses for that. These guys don't touch it. Drunk driving. That's who we are. That's who we are. They've recently adopted underage drinking because they know underage drinkers lead to drunk drivers. And so they want to cut it off at source. So I give them props for that. That's a recent development. These guys have a long ways to go, in maintaining and protecting and improving upon their brand. Okay, we're going to do one more. How about this one? Does everybody know who this group is? I think it's probably the largest drug prevention network or campaign in the nation. Okay, one word. We're working on it here. Okay. Community, kids, young, youth, media, organized, partnership, youth, kids, confusing, question, confused, question mark.
Do you think that the registered trademark symbol there affects the visual aspect of that?
Oh, do you mean this?
Yeah.
Oh, that?
That's what I'm talking about.
I have two thoughts on it. From a design standpoint, yeah. Who registers social causes? You want to share them. Actually, very, very little of the material I create is actually registered, trademarked, or copyrighted. Because if somebody wants to borrow, use it to help direct social causes in other areas, I'm happy to share it. For design, no. But I will tell you, it does carry clout. When people see registered trademarks or copyrights on stuff, for some reason, it proves to be higher quality.
You're associated with corporate America.
Well, they were
You do.
founded, I'm sorry, it's how old I am. They were founded by the private sector. That's part of their power.
It was. Hence why I think it was registered first year, Parents Anti-Drug, which is focused just talking to parents. They've abandoned talking to kids. However, some of the campaign under this does target youth and kids. But to see a general majority of us write youth, kids, I think they would stand there and go, yes and no. That's one of our audience, but you forgot about our other audience. Drugs only, which is interesting. I think this is, for the most part, what we wrote down. It's a well-defined brand. They know who they are. One of the reasons for it, I agree, is I think corporate America has really helped them define it. They've put together a team that really understands branding and marketing, to the point where they've actually ended up soliciting endless money to keep this thing alive. Please.
They have to do a switch in the past few years in their target groups because they were proven so ineffective towards you, and that's why now, when I set up target, what I meant was that was what they wanted to do. They wanted to one-on-one reach directly, but that proved to do the opposite actually, and now they switched their focus to adults, and again putting the concern where it necessarily doesn't need.
Yes. No, because they're approaching drugs in general, to have one audience, I think is a little bit arrogant. Subsections within that to say, this particular issue, here's a problem, here's the solution. And again, I think it's a little bit of corporate that's running this effort, so they're making some choices that maybe aren't based on a solution rather than a perception. One of the things, who's the smartest person in the room now? It has to state who you want to change. You've got to focus on your audience. Parents the anti-drug. Fantastic example. Who's it targeting? Parents. For what topic? Drugs. And is it pro or is it instructs, it's Andrew, okay? State what you want to change, okay? Ultimately, here are the 5 different choices of different names for social causes. You can be name of the solution, you can be name of the problem, and some of these are better than others, I'll tell you that, they're not all equal. A meaningless name or acronym, we get a lot of these. We want to be drug care for all youth across America, so we're going to acronym that as blah, 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 blah. And everybody looks like, goes, what? It happens more often than we like to admit. Name of the founder, okay, we see this a lot. A name of past victims, okay, a motivation to it. You know, we talked about this, Parents the Anti-Drug, okay. I actually love that brand. I love that name. It's got the name, it's got the substance abuse, it's got the call to action, it's got everything right in there to tell us what it is we want to do. We can put that logo up and people would know exactly what it's all about. Outside of the message, which means it's a fantastic brand. How about that one? Meth. That's the name of the campaign, meth. This is the tagline, not even once. Okay? Just that ad alone.
I have a question on that because it's not pleasant to look at. So back to domestic violence, what I do, we have blood and gore pictures we can use, or sometimes we have, like, people want little kind of happy home cartoonish things. We don't want to use those. We don't want to use the other extreme. We don't want to just grab some clip art. Is there a rule of thumb around issues like that? Like,
Put a tack in that, because I'm going to hit that one really heavy in a second, because that's a great question. They have put billions into branding their campaign to get you to say, when I put the word truth up there, you go, oh, that's anti-tobacco. Why would I spend all my money to get you to look at the word truth and change your thought process when I can just tell you what the problem is and focus on my message? I just started leading this campaign for Utah and for Arizona. And I struggle so much with their brand. Granted, it's well established now, but they spent a lot of money to get it there, which I think was a little bit of a waste of resources. Susan, you going? Everybody know the story of Susan? Her and her sister were inseparable. Susan basically was diagnosed with breast cancer. Her fight through it was horrendous, but she was an incredible fighter. And in the final stages, she dedicated herself to improving the life of all of those around her that were also fighting breast cancer. And her sister, who was her huge support, basically said, I'm taking your model and your passion for help, and that's what this is going to be based on. If you have a chance, read the case study of this one. This is terrific. However, I will say, just from a pure marketing and brand standpoint, I think this is a fantastic campaign, very well done, the #1 funded cancer campaign out there. However, the brand, you have to know the story. If not, you go, who's Susan Coven? I know it's breast cancer, but I don't know who she is or what her story is. And there's a little bit of a disconnect. You know, they put a lot of money into their brand, so you know that little pink ribbon, what that stands for. That's theirs. They started that. You know? But it doesn't tell you what to do. It relies on your previous education to know what it is that they're all about. I didn't know who Amber Alert is. Amber Alert is a program. Does anybody know? I have any guesses? What's Amber Alert?
When a child is missing.
Yes. So when a child is missing, they send out an Amber Alert, and they send it out within the first few minutes that is reported, and they put it up on freeways. It goes through text messages, emails, telephone calls, everywhere, because if they know if they can find the missing child within that certain window, that they're going to be okay. Does anybody know why it's called Amber Alert? Yeah. Amber, it was a girl who went missing, that they came in and said, this isn't going to happen anymore. And they actually turned it into a campaign that's nationwide. And I think it's run through the Attorney General's office in most states. But see, here's a fantastic example. Great name, Amber Alert, you know. And the funny thing is, what color are all of their messages in? Amber. And what is amber? Amber is the color of warning. Like our street signs, you know, it goes red, yellow, amber, and then green. The warning one's the middle one, right? And so it's a warning. It's calling attention to it. Colors in advertising play a huge role. Certain colors create certain emotions, you know? And amber is one of those ones that calls people's attention. And so I think, you know, there's a lot of strategy put into this that maybe they didn't quite realize at the time. Amber was the name of the girl. Amber is the color of warning. We need you to do something. And it became a fantastic tag, you know, for their campaign. But again, they're relying on you to know the back history to understand what it's all about, okay? There are hundreds of thousands of social cause brands out there. Some are good, some are bad. MAD, we know what it stands for, right? Mothers Against Drunk Driving. They spend a lot of money getting people to remember that acronym. You know, and eventually, you know, they're going to want, you know, more out of that acronym. You can look and there are tons, call to actions, names, brands, images, and ultimately you just need one that tells your message in a very clear, concise, and simple format. I love the ones that serve as .orgs. People are looking for more information, our digital specialists. You got to know where to go. And if your brand can tell people where to go, they can get more information about it.